Alex Alonso here, StreetTV. Thanks for tapping in. And what I got for you next is a video on all 47 exhibits that were presented by the prosecution in the case People vs. Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez. Now, they presented 47 exhibits. A couple of those were, at least 4 of them were drawn, so it's actually not a complete 47 exhibits. And then there's one exhibit that was from a preliminary hearing exhibit, and we're going to start with that one. So here we go. What you're looking at now is a photo of Tory Lanez, and then there's a handwritten date, November 12th, 2020. And it says Megan Pete ID'd as Tory. And this was a preliminary hearing exhibit, the only one used. Exhibit number 1 in the trial was presented by the prosecution by witness officer Rogelio Diaz. He was the first witness for the prosecution on Monday, December 12th. And this is a map of Nicholas Canyon Road, where this entire incident took place. Officer Diaz testified that he responded to this location. And after he responded to this location in the 4 a.m. hour, 0400 hours, he found bullet casings on the ground. They found 4 bullet casings. That's bullet casing number 1. That's bullet casing number 2. There's bullet casing number 3. And bullet casing number 4. And all 4 of those photos are part of Exhibit 2. That would be Exhibit 2A through 2D. Exhibit number 3 is actually a pendant chain that belonged to Kelsey Harris that Officer Diaz found in the street on Nicholas Canyon Road. Exhibit number 4 is an acrylic nail that Officer Diaz found in the street on Nicholas Canyon Road. This actually they found out it belonged to Kelsey Harris, and it is believed to have broken off her hand during a fight, during some sort of confrontation that she had. And we heard testimony that she had a confrontation with Tory Lanez, but we also heard that she had a confrontation with Megan. Exhibit 5 is a photograph of blood in the street that Officer Diaz observed when they got on the scene on Nicholas Canyon Road. Exhibit 6, this is the side of the street where they parked their car. They parked that black SUV, and the entire incident happened in this location. And that house you see right there belonged to one of the witnesses that testified for the defense, Sean Kelly. That's his house. Exhibit 7. This is a house across the street where Megan Thee Stallion actually ended up crawling to and falling to the ground. You can see the address of that house, 1807, and she was in this driveway. And you can see a couple of these white cards in the street. They're supposed to be evidence markers, but the LAPD didn't have proper placards. They're usually yellow with black numbers. So these are just pieces of paper that they use. They use field interview cards and bended them over to mark the locations of the bullet casings. Exhibit number 8 is a chain found on the ground that belonged to Kelsey Harris. It is believed this chain broke off during one of the altercations that she had. Exhibit 9 is body-worn camera footage of the LAPD, Officer Diaz, on the scene at Nicholas Canyon Road. And you'll see they're pulling out their flashlights and they're looking for evidence on the street. And this is when they find the bullet casings and the items that belong to Kelsey Harris. And I'll post this video in its entirety. It's a 2-minute and 40-second video that I'll post in its entirety for those who are interested in checking that out. Exhibit 9. And that was the last exhibit that was presented when Officer Diaz was testifying. Then Exhibit 10 and 11 are the 911 calls. And I've posted that on a previous video if you're interested in listening to both those 911 calls. I also have the transcripts to those 911 calls that I'll post. I'll post on a link below. Give me about a day to post that. But I actually have all the exhibits posted on a link below for those who want to download them. So so Exhibit 10 is 911 call number 1. Exhibit 11 is 911 call number 2. And those were presented in court by the prosecution without a witness, and the defense attorney stipulated on Exhibits 10, 11, and 12. 12 is audio of the gunshots. That gunshot audio was recorded from indoors, a house on that block, and it did pick up all 5 shots, and that was posted in a previous video that you can check out. Then witness number 2 was Officer Sandra Cabral, and they introduced a few exhibits while she testified. And Exhibit 13 was a map that shows the location on Nicholas Canyon Road and the way the car, after they left, after Tory, Megan, Kelsey, and Jaquon left, it's the path that they drove to Hollywood Boulevard, and then the path that they drove going eastbound on Hollywood Boulevard towards La Brea when they got pulled over by the LAPD. And it shows here that they drove 0.8 miles, and that took approximately 3 minutes. So they got pulled over pretty quickly after they left the scene on Nicholas Canyon Road. Exhibit 14, it is a photo of a gun in the car that Officer Cabral testified about. She was one of the officers that found it. And there are 2 exhibits, 14A and 14B. 14A is a photo of the gun with all the items in the car untouched. And then they moved everything out the way. Looks like a napkin, some boots, and then they took another picture of the gun, 14B. And this is the green gun that a lot of people talked about. It turns out that it wasn't lime green. It wasn't bright green. It looks like an olive green gun. Exhibit 15 is a photograph of a white towel with blood on it. This would be the blood of Megan while she was in the car. And Exhibit 15B is the same thing, same photo from another angle of the white towel showing Megan's blood. Exhibit 16, and this is still while Officer Sandra Cabral is on the stand. This is a photo of their suitcase with blood drops on it, and it looks like this is the back seat right behind the center console. And this was the luggage that they had at Kylie Jenner's house. This would have been the luggage that EJ moved from his car into this car. And Exhibit 16B is a photo of that same suitcase from another angle. Exhibit 17 is a photograph of Megan's blood on the center console of the car. You get a little sense of what they were drinking. This looked like a Fanta and a bottle of water. There's some COVID masks there. You got to remember this happened in 2020. And this is actually July of 2020. This is the height of COVID. COVID broke out pretty heavy in Los Angeles in March. So this is like 4 months later. And 4 months later was really the height of COVID. And they were out there having a good time. This is Exhibit 17. And then Exhibit 18 is a photograph of Tory Lanez at the Hollywood LAPD police station. Exhibit 19 is a photo of Kelsey Harris at the same police station, the Hollywood division of the LAPD. And then Exhibit 20 is a photograph of Jaquon Smith, Tory Lane's driver. And this photo is also taken at the LAPD, but it looks like it's at a different room. And he's got his mask on in this photo. And then Exhibit 21. This would be the last exhibit presented under direct examination of Sandra Cabral, and it is the body cam, LAPD body cam footage of the LAPD pulling over Tory Lanez, Megan. This is the car that Jaquon Smith is driving, and it pretty much shows you them exiting the vehicle. I actually posted this video on a previous video, so you can check out this video in its entirety. I actually combined this video with a couple other exhibits that are from the same incident. They chopped this video up into different exhibits, and I combined them all into one video that you could check out. And the next witness for the prosecution would have been witness number 3 was Officer Scott Lind. There were no exhibits presented when he testified. The next witness was witness number 4, Detective William Acosta, and they presented the telephone call that Tory made to Kelsey from the Hollywood police station. And this is the call that has been going viral all over the internet. This is the call that has pretty much been stolen off of my page, re-uploaded. Quite a few people have tried to edit out my StreetTV tag. Quite a few people have not even credited the source that this came from. It's just amazing how much black media steals from other content creators. But this, you can listen to this entire phone call in its entirety on a previous video I uploaded. Then the 5th witness was the witness that everybody was waiting for, and the courtroom was quite crowded when witness number 5 came into court. But that would be Megan Thee Stallion. She was witness number 5 on day 2 of this trial. She came in on Tuesday, December 13th. And the first exhibit that the prosecution presented while Megan was testifying would be Exhibit 23, which was the balcony footage of them getting pulled over by the police. Exhibit 24. This is body cam footage that I previously uploaded in where I combined all the LAPD body cam into one video, and this just shows, they showed this to show that Megan was bleeding on the ground at the time she was taken into custody and handcuffed. Exhibit 25 is footage of Megan in the back of the ambulance, LAFD paramedics on the scene, and they showed this in court just to show the raw emotion that she expressed while she was just sitting in the back of that truck by herself. She did not know that she was being recorded. And we previously posted this video if you want to check it out. It's only about a minute long. Exhibit 26 is a photograph of her heel, her left heel. It's quite blurry. This was really a low quality photograph. Not sure why they decided to use this. You really can't see much detail. But in Exhibit 27, you got a clear, high resolution photo of the injuries on her heel. And this is post-operation. So a lot of that damage you see there, some of that damage was actually created by the doctor. He testified that he actually had to cut and make an incision to remove the fragments from her heel. And I count about 3 stitches on the top part. And I remember the doctor testifying that the rest of the heel would have to heal on its own. It would take about a week to 2 weeks for the skin to grow back right there. Then we have Exhibit 28. Exhibit 28, this is the infamous apology text. This is the prosecution characterized this as the apology text that Tory Lanez sent to Megan July 12th, 8:59 p.m. This was a text he sent after he bailed out of jail, or he was released. I'm not sure how we didn't get any testimony on how he got out of jail that day. But he wrote, "Meg, I know you probably never gonna talk to me again. Probably. I know you probably never gonna talk to me again. But I genuinely want you to know I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. And I was just too drunk. Nonetheless, shit should have never happened, and I can't change what did. I just feel horrible, because I genuinely just got too drunk." That's page 1 of the text. Exhibit 28B actually is the last line of that text, and it says, "I love you and hope you're okay." Exhibit 29 was the next exhibit when Megan was testifying, and at this point she was talking about all the threats she had been receiving and all the hate she'd been receiving. And this was an Instagram page that they showed. The page is called Megan Thee Stallion's Biggest Hater, and she was testifying about how it bothered her, that how much hate she was receiving. And this particular post says Megan needs to be shot and killed. And this is also something similar that she was testifying about that bothered her. This is a Twitter post where it says, "Tory Lanez has dropped nothing but heat since he came in the game. Meg should be in jail like Jussie Smollett for lying." Let's see. The date on this was, what's the date on this? March of 2022. And Exhibit 31 was withdrawn, but those are the last exhibits presented during Megan Pete's testimony. And then the next witness number 6, which would have been the next day, on Wednesday, December 14th. That would have been day 3 of the trial. Kelsey Harris comes up on the scene. And the first exhibit that was presented to her was this text message. This is a text message that she sent to apparently she sent this to Justin Edison. And the very bottom says, "Help, Tory Shot Meg, 911. This was sent on July 12th at 4:27 a.m. So this would just been minutes after the incident. And when they showed her this text, they asked her, why would you say this? Because she was denying that Tory Shot Meg. She was saying she didn't see Tory Shot Meg. She didn't know Tory Shot Meg. So they asked her, why did you send this to Justin? And her answer was that she panicked and she just assumed it. Exhibit 33 is a photograph of her injuries. There's actually 4 photos under Exhibit 33 that show her injuries. I'm not sure the photos really do justice to her injuries, but 33A is actually a long bruise along her left thigh that starts near the top of her thigh where that tattoo is. It goes down and it ends at near the knee. So I wonder what kind of injury was that? Was she getting kicked, or is that from falling on the ground? She said she didn't remember how she got these injuries, that she just, when she woke up the next day, she realized she was injured. So she didn't provide any testimony, any specifics to how she got these injuries. But if you go back to the September 2022 statement, she claims that it was Tory Lanez that assaulted her. And 33B is interesting. She took a picture. These are all pictures that she took of herself. And in this bottom picture, she's showing the top of her head where hair was pulled out of her scalp. And then she has a bruise on her shin. This is Exhibit 33C. She took a picture of her arm. She has a small bruise on her arm there. And then 33D, I can see a bruise on this area, in this area right here. I'm not sure which part of her body that is. But those are four photos under Exhibit 33, A, B, C, and D. So after Exhibit 33, that's the end of the day on Wednesday, and they ordered Kelsey to come back Thursday morning. And when they come back on Thursday morning, they actually take a witness out of order. It is the surgeon who did the surgery on Megan's foot. This would be witness number 7, Dr. Lee Haruno, Haruno. He came in Thursday morning on December 15th. This would have been day 4. And Exhibit 34A is imaging that he did of Megan's foot. And this is a picture of her left foot. And he testified about the fragments that were in her foot. And it's not just these 2 big fragments that you see, but there are a bunch of tiny other little fragments, microscopic fragments, that he characterized as metallic foreign bodies. And Exhibit 34B is a picture of the same foot from a different angle. This is her left foot, and you see 2 huge metallic foreign bodies and a bunch of tiny other smaller particles which came from the same object. And then 34C is another photo of the same exact foot from another angle. I think this is a cross-section angle, and those 2 white parts are the same bullet fragments from 34B and 34A that I just showed you. And then 35A is the right foot. There are smaller fragments in her right foot by the heel. And then Exhibit 35B is another angle that shows the bullet fragments near the heel below the ankle area of the right foot. So there's no doubt that Megan Thee Stallion was shot. And when fragments go into your body, you're still shot. That's considered your shot. You can't say she wasn't shot. Those are just fragments. Well, if they're fragments, she was shot. And also, if a ricochet enters your body, which is what most likely happened here, and even the prosecution told the jury, even if you think it's a ricochet, count 1 still applies. Assault with a firearm doesn't mean if it's a ricochet or not a ricochet. And there's a lot of people confused on if it's a ricochet, does it still mean you got shot? Absolutely, it means you got shot. There's people who have died from ricochets. So there's people who have died from fragments as well. So I say all of that to say this is a serious injury, but because it hit her in the foot, she's able to make a full recovery. But you can die from ricochets, and you can die from bullet fragments. And that was the last. Oh no, the last exhibit is Exhibit 36. This is the report from Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And Cedars-Sinai Hospital is actually the hospital that all three of my kids were born in. It is an excellent hospital. It's probably one of the best hospitals in Los Angeles. And she was taken to Cedars-Sinai because it was close by also. It's not too far from where this incident happened. And this is a report of the surgery. July 12, 2020, patient Megan Pete. Attending surgeon, it was Milton Little. And assistant surgeon, you'll see the name Lee Salvador Haruno. And he's the one that performed the majority of the surgery. And look right here, pre-operative diagnosis, gunshot wound, bilateral lower extremities. And I'll have this report. It's a 2-page report that I'll have at the link below when that link is available. And that was the last exhibit under witness number 7, Dr. Haruno. Then witness number 6, we went back to witness number 6, Kelsey Harris, and they presented Exhibit 37, which was a text message that, well, not a text message, this is a post. This is an Instagram post that Megan Thee Stallion made, and this is a post that, if you listen to the September 2020 interview that Kelsey gave to the prosecutors, this was a post that she was talking about that did not protect her. So the prosecution showed her this post and asked her, do you remember telling us that she did not protect you? And this is when she was giving testimony where she was saying, I don't remember, I don't recall. And this post, she didn't have much to say about it in testimony, but it is Megan explaining what happened to her that day on July 12th. And something in this post really bothered Kelsey because she felt like she wasn't protected. So then exhibit number 37 is Kelsey's post. This is Kelsey's response. Her post is very short, to the point. I want to clear up the rumors that I shot Megan. I wasn't the one with the gun and would never do something like that. However, I was present. So they showed her that. And then there was one more, Exhibit 39, which was withdrawn. So I don't have that for you. And that was the last exhibit presented by the prosecution with witness Kelsey Harris. The next witness would be witness number 8. This is Detective Warren Everhart of the LAPD. And he testified about this Instagram post that was on the Shade Room. And this was a very important piece of evidence that the prosecution was heavily relying on. And they were hoping that the jury considered it. But it is a post where someone in the comments typed, people saying Kelsey shot her. And someone from Tory Lane's account responds to this person, Spliff K, that's not true. And then, of course, they showed where that post came from. Exhibit 40B. It is the verified account of Tory Lanez, who had 11 million followers at the time of that post. So that was a pretty important piece of evidence that they presented. It just goes to show you that these police are looking at everything on the internet, all social media. And that was the only exhibit presented under Detective Warren Everhart. And then the next witness, witness 9, was the GSR expert Stacey Vanderschaff. There were no exhibits presented during her testimony. And then the next witness, witness number 10, would have been Los Angeles District Attorney Investigator Jody Little. And the main evidence, the main exhibit that they presented during Jody Little was the entire audio interview of Kelsey Harris from September of 2022, September 14th. And this was This was a piece of evidence that was never supposed to be shown in court. The judge ruled on it, but because the defense attorney suggested that her previous statement may have been done under pressure, possibly under coercion, the prosecutors asked the judge if they can play the whole thing, and the judge allowed it. And they played the entire audio of this. And Jody Little was present during this, and that's why it was presented while she was on the stand testifying. And there's a transcript that is roughly 66 pages long, and I'll post that also for those who want to just read along. But the entire audio was already previously posted of this, and there are a bunch of content creators out there just stealing it off my page. The next witness, witness number 11, was the firearms expert, Mr. Rathanon, and there were no exhibits presented while he was testifying. And then witness number 12, Ryan Cepeda of the LAPD. He's the DNA expert, and there were no exhibits presented under him. And then the prosecution decided to recall witness number 2, Officer Sandra Cabral. And this is now day 6. This is Monday, December 19th. And the first exhibit presented under her recall testimony would be Exhibit 42. Exhibit 42 is the LAPD body cam footage. The portion where Officer Cabral, female officer, is taking Kelsey Harris into custody. And you can see Tory Lanez laying right down there to her left. And then over to further from him would be Jaquon Smith. And I posted this video in its entirety in another video if you're interested in this clip. And one of the reasons why they wanted to play this was to show her asking Megan if you're all right.
So right here, stretch your feet.
Are you okay, Megan? And Megan responds, yeah. The next exhibit is 43. And it is also the LAPD body cam footage from another officer at the same moment where Kelsey Harris is walking by. They pick Megan up and they walk her to the corner. Exhibit 44 is just a photo of the running board on the side of the Escalade that they wanted to highlight. Now remember, this is Officer Cabral testifying on recall, so that means that these are points that the prosecution wanted to emphasize that they didn't the first time. The importance of the running board is because we heard testimony from Megan that Tory may have been standing on something that elevated him. And then if you listen to Kelsey Harris's interview from September, she says something similar. So the prosecutor wanted to show the jury that, hey, this truck has this running board. For those of you who are confused on how can someone be standing elevated, I even think that Kelsey may have said something like it seemed like he was just up in the air elevated in that previous interview that she gave, which I have posted that you can check out. But that's Exhibit 44, just to show the running board. But if you notice, you can look at the seat and you can see some blood. That's Megan's blood on the seat there behind the driver's side, which I find interesting because I think Megan got out of this vehicle on the passenger side when they pulled it over. Then Exhibit 45, it's the LAPD body cam footage that shows blood on Kelsey's legs, even though she's not the one bleeding. That was an important point that the prosecution wanted to bring up because they wanted the jury to know that Kelsey Harris was clearly aware of Megan's injuries, even though she didn't provide any information when she testified. And that clip right there showed blood, Megan's blood on her legs. And then that was the last exhibit presented while Officer Cabral was on testified as a recall witness. Then they recalled Jody Little, the LADA investigator, and they presented Exhibit 46, which was withdrawn. And then Exhibit 47 is the entire song of Kelsey Harris's diss track called Bussin Back. And the prosecution wanted to present the entire song because the defense, when they questioned Kelsey Harris on cross-examination, he asked her about 2 lines of the song, and he took the worst 2 lines out that suggested that she was the shooter or that she shot. And then the prosecution decided we got to show the whole song because the song actually the theme behind the song is actually that she didn't shoot her. So they actually presented the entire song, and they did this under witness Jody Little. And this is Exhibit 47, the last exhibit presented by the prosecution in People vs. Daystar Peterson. Thanks for tapping in with another video from StreetTV.